So just to make sure I'm putting something out there for this week, it's basically going to be a smorgasbord. It isn't going to be in the title. It's going to be sort of, not a roundup, but at least some of the things that I do want to touch on that have happened over the past week. First of which, quite a sad one, the passing of Masaya Nakamura, the founder of Namco, arguably the founder of Pac-Man, passed away. Well, apparently he died like January, but it's only like January the 22nd, so it would have been 2 weeks ago. It was only announced the week after, or whatever. Or the week after he passed, anyway. But yeah, I mean, he technically isn't the father of Pac-Man, but certainly the video game company that he was part of certainly was. So inadvertently, he was one of the people that brought us Pac-Man. Not just that, though. If you think of all the other classic Namco stuff, Galaga. You know, the game that was the first thing you see when you started Ridge Racer on the PS1. Which most people probably couldn't complete because they need to be bloody quick. Pole Position. That was a really classic racing game. Then, if you think about it, what Namco's done since, other than Ridge Racer itself, but like Tekken and Soul Calibur, very good fighting games. And then, obviously, now that they're merged with Bandai, they're technically part of the Dark Souls stuff and everything. So, okay, it's developed by From Software, but they're the publisher, and yeah, the founder of the company that's published all those great games passed away. Let's have a quick look. Oh, apparently Super Mario Run seems to be doing somewhat well, I guess. Figures have come out with it's been downloaded 78 million times in the latest financial briefing. But interestingly, of those 78, only 4 million have paid to unlock it out of its free version. So, roughly in the region of about 5% of players have decided to pay the £8 or £10, because I think it was originally £8 at least on the Apple Store, but due to all the world politics and economy and stuff, it's now £10 at least here. I don't know how much it is on the American side of things, but it's still yet to come to Android, I think. I know Android this week got Fire Emblem Heroes. They released it early. That's been out. Haven't played it because I'm not sure I just want to jump immediately in to Fire Emblem, not really getting a gist of the original ones. I know that they're tactic RPG things, but I don't want to go straight into something which is probably a minuscule experience of what the Fire Emblem series is. Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age, which was showcased off at the EGX Expo I went to last September, is coming to the Europe anyway in July. So you never know, they might be able to have it there again. Oh, it is actually a remastered Final Fantasy XII. That's interesting. Banner Saga 3's Kickstarter got launched and in no time at all reached its goal. Key thing about that is, though, is that the second, from what the devs have said, and from what the industry people have said, because the second one didn't go to Kickstarter, it really didn't do that well compared to the first one, which was on Kickstarter. So basically they've realised not only is a Kickstarter worth it, because obviously people can invest in the game and get it, or get the game early or whatever, but it's the best form of publicity. You know, Banner Saga 2, a lot of people, as soon as they saw a Kickstarter for Banner Saga 3, quite a few people apparently said, wait, there was a second one, not knowing. Despite the fact Banner Saga 2 is reckoned to be a very good game, just as good as the first one. So the fact that the third one has decided to go back to the Kickstarter approach, and the fact that it's reached its goal in no time, I think it's like still, at least as of right now, recording this on Big Game Sunday, just in case, you know, the NFL did want to come after me. Big Game Sunday. It's got roughly around, I think, 4 weeks, give or take, and it's already reached $200,000, which was its goal. I better have a quick look. They've got, obviously, stretch goals galore. As of recording, Banner Saga 3 is currently, as it takes forever to load, at $242,000. I guess not that many people are going to back it yet. Actually, I should put that in my remind me section. Good, because I might be tempted by that. But yeah, it's good to see that that's doing well and is successful. BioWare in BioWare / EA's like financial stuff, they've basically said this new IP, which they teased a year or so ago, is going to be coming out by the end of March next year. So basically, it's within the next 12 months. This new IP is coming out. They've also sort of indicated that it's not an RPG, so it's not a Mass Effect or I think they said it's original as well, so it's not the Star Wars thing. So I think, who knows? Another fan-made Mega Man game showed up. Apparently, it's still surfacing and is available. I better download that pretty quickly then. FIFA 18 is going to be getting a second version, or a second edition of the season, you know, career mode thing. The Alex Hunter, the Journey, I think they called it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, that in concept really seems a bit weird, but in terms of execution, it's got a lot of people that wouldn't have played a football soccer game into playing a football soccer game. I guess as it was trying to replicate the whole NBA 2K stuff of creating a storyline and everything for somebody to really be invested in. No more support from DICE now for Battlefront 1. All the efforts are going into Battlefront 2, which is, I believe, supposed to be coming out towards the end of the year, which obviously isn't that surprising. Little Big Planet 3 is one of the free games on PS Plus for February, which is annoying to me because I bought it about 6 weeks ago when it was in the sale. That's my luck. Oh, we had the deal with Oculus and ZeniMax and Facebook and all that stuff, where it's basically, it's interesting. There's been a ruling, but it's not fully dealed. So basically, the deal is the US court that this was done in, because I can't remember where it was exactly in the US. They basically determined that Oculus and its executives broke an NDA and infringed the copyright of ZeniMax in building the Rift headset. Apparently Oculus are appealing on the issue. But interestingly, the jury did rule that none of the defendants misappropriated the trade secrets from ZeniMax. So yeah, the meat of the case was, did Oculus steal, stuff from ZeniMax? And the jury apparently has judged it to not have. So in terms of the money stuff, the $500 million, apparently, according to Polygon, is $200 million for the violation from Palmer Luckey, $50 million for copyright infringement, a $50 million award against both Oculus and Palmer Luckey for false designation, and then $150 million against the former CEO, Brendan Uribe, for false designation. But ZeniMax actually claims $6 billion in damages, and from what I can tell, ZeniMax isn't even happy with $500 million, because the global communications director, Tracy Thompson, there said, quote, "We'll consider what further steps we need to take to ensure there will be no ongoing use of our misappropriated technology, including seeking an injunction to restrain Oculus and Facebook from using computer code that the jury found infringed the copyright." So yeah, it's convoluted as all hell, and although we have a result, it clearly is going to be progressing in some shape or form to cause even more confusion. Also, interestingly, the European Commission is apparently going against Valve and, I think, let me have a quick look, the publishers, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home Interactive, Koch Media, and ZeniMax regarding games and not being available in certain countries. Because basically the suspicion is that agreements that have been made between the publishers and Valve break competition rules by either restricting prices of games or excluding customers from certain offers because they're not in the country. So let's say if we're going with Bandai Namco, they've got a Dark Souls sale on Steam, so you can get the first, second, and third games for, in US terms, let's say because it wouldn't be that, like $60. The first two for $10 each equivalent, and the Dark Souls 3 for $40 with the season pass, whatever. In certain countries, you don't get access to it. As the EU Commission notes, an activation key can grant an access to a purchased game only to consumers in a particular EU state, for example, Poland or the Czech Republic, as they say here. This could amount to a breach of competition rules by reducing cross-border competition as a result of restricting so-called parallel trade within the market and preventing consumers from buying cheaper games that may be available in other member states. So basically, the deals aren't being passed on. So, that I think is a more substantial thing that Valve could be punished for, aside from the whole skins lottery thing, which is getting such a mess. For the only sort of political thing, if you want to call it that, Devolver Digital has offered demo space at the GDC event next month for developers that can't make it to the show because of the immigration ban that's come in. Yeah, basically they're taking submissions from developers from affected countries and people that may be affected by the ban and whatever. So it can promote the work of those that are unable to attend, and apparently the space will contain several gaming PCs and HTC Vives in case it's, virtual reality content. So that's a nice touch, for those people that can't make it. I know I heard some talk saying that a few devs that were scheduled to go and had already booked and paid all their money for tickets now would not be able to go, and obviously because it's relatively short notice because the event's next month, they can't get refunds on either the tickets to the event or the flights or anything. So good on Devolver Digital on that. Mafia 3 is getting some story mode content coming. Let me have a quick look at the dates. The first one's coming towards the end of March, then there's another one in May, and then another one in July. So I guess they're trying to spread it out so it's a whole year. And by July, everybody will be going, wait, Mafia 3 came out? Because I think it's another one. Admittedly, it came out towards the end of the year, so it's a bit more memorable than like an Evolve or something, but sometimes it's getting to the point where it's like, I forgot that game existed. I don't forget Mafia 2. I don't forget Mafia 1. But Mafia 3 had all the hype and then was just... G2A got in even more crap than it was already in. They did a Reddit AMA, and let's just say not all their responses seem to be good publicity for them. It could have been damage control, but they possibly have done even worse damage, which is good. Apparently Nintendo Switch is doing a UK tour, of which they're going to 3 places over 3 weekends. The one of which, the one that's near to me in Birmingham, is nowhere near anything to do with a station. And I know how much prices are for taxis around there, and it's pretty hefty, at least on my budget, so it's annoying. Yeah. The Shikara Wrestling, my only wrestling mention here, just announced that their big event of the year is actually, for the first time ever, going to be happening in the UK. And the venue that they've got is probably only a 5-minute walk away from one of the major stations in Birmingham. So a lot easier to get to than certainly the venue site is for at least the Birmingham part. But I just find it interesting that it's like, and also I think you're only booked to a 2.5-hour window that you've got to try 6 games in. There's Zelda, there's this 1-2 Switch, I think there's ARMS, I think there's Mario Kart, I think there's Snipper Clips, and something else which I can't think of off the top of my head. But that's it. And then once you've played on it, unless you go to the other events, which I don't think you can because they're trying to restrict it, that's your only chance to get your hands on the Switch before it releases. If you think about the fact that I played with the PlayStation VR 3 times before it launched, and with the Xbox One games I played quite a few games before it launched, when it was, you know, obviously there were various games on the stands and whatever. And PS4 the same way. Hell, even the Wii U, when they were showcasing the Wii U off on the stand, I remember playing Zombie U, Nintendo Land was one of the ones I played. I played Pikmin and also Wonderful 101. I played like 4 games. And because it was there for 4 days, I could have chosen to play it, you know, although because there were other games I wasn't going to play. Just Nintendo games, but I could have for 4 days. You know, for the day access or whatever. Okay, this event is free or whatever, but 2.5 hours for 6 games. That's what, like 20 minutes a piece? I don't even know how big the venue is and how quick it's going to go round to play them. I don't think it's a wise move. Be interesting to see what happens with the conventions that I could go to later on in the year. I think I'm definitely going to go to EGX. The Insomnia one honestly depends on what they've got. Also, I've got to take into account that if I'm trying to go to the wrestling show, I'm trying to work out what I need money-wise there, and also are WWE going to be doing any shows, which means I'm going to be knackered that week. But yeah, the Nintendo thing, I'll give judgment on it when I've actually got proper hands onto it, and not an event which is pretty restricted. I even remember, I think they had it at the RTX Australia event that happened this weekend. The interesting touch being, the Switch was there, demonstrated. Nobody could play it apart from select individuals like Greg Miller and Hideo Kojima and all that stuff. But, you know, members of the public, it's like, yeah, no, it's a demonstration. And if it isn't a demonstration, there were some games that were actually playable. Don't label it a demonstration. Because when I hear demonstration, I mean I'm not getting anything, am I? It's like when they were showing Mafia 3 at the conventions, and it was just, yeah, you're sitting in front of a 20-25 minute video showcasing the stuff off, which is very heavily edited, and it's not anybody playing the game. You know, as much as I hurl criticism at Witcher 3 for doing that approach, the difference with that game was they actually showed somebody actually playing it there in game rather than showing footage. That's one thing I will say as well about the original Watch Dogs. Okay, the game crashed. Oh no, it wasn't that. No, Watch Dogs I think was video. Was it? No, Watch Dogs. Yeah, the game crashed. So then we had to go out and then come back in to actually see it. I think that was it. But yeah, I think demonstrations are nice and all, but it's going to be a lot more appealing to people that they can actually play the thing and get a gist of what it's like, rather than here's what it is, be excited. There you go. So obviously I'm doing this before the bowl of soup. I nearly said it by accident there. Is happening. So whether there's any video game trailers, you know, there's some rumours that there could be a Red Dead one. There's some rumours that you could be seeing possibly, you know, Mass Effect, because that's a big game that will appeal to quite a few people. Don't think there's anything else that would really be perfect for a big audience like that that's coming out over the next... I mean, there is a Nintendo one, but they've already released that, and it's like, okay, we get it. You're advertising the Switch by just advertising Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think we know that if you're not a Zelda fan, they're really telling you not to get the console. I don't know. So, I guess that's all for this week. Hopefully there can be actually a topic I can properly cover. I don't want to go into the politics stuff. I don't want to go too much into legal issues and all that, because that can become a bloody mess. So, let's hope something, I was going to say exciting, but at least interesting, something interesting happens that I can actually talk about for a long form, rather than Higgledy Piggledy news. Is that going to be the title?